This is Scott Spears, and get ready because you're going to have a great time today. We have a true pioneer in the world of professional women, the great Helen Gurley Brown. Helen, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Helen, I want to talk about your childhood to start off with here. What was your childhood like?
Well, it doesn't seem to have very much to do with my present life, but to tell you very quickly, when I was 10 years old, we were in Little Rock, Arkansas. That was our home, and my father died, so that sort of changed my life. And then my sister got polio, so she couldn't stand up. Not only could she not walk, she couldn't stand up. So the childhood was a little full of trauma, and maybe that had some influence on my later life.
Coming out of a childhood with all of this trauma, when did you decide you wanted to be a professional woman rather than anything else?
Well, it all came quite gradually. I was a secretary for hundreds of years, and I didn't start working for a magazine until late in my secretarial career.
Helen, when did you realize you were a good writer? What makes a good writer?
Oh, I'm not sure I'm good enough to tell you that. There must be other people who are more authoritative and more believable. But what makes a good writer is to write things that other people are reading with interest. They like to read what you write. That makes you a good writer, I think.
Yeah, I think when it appeals to the mass audience, I think that's one sign of a good writer.
Yes, I wish I had said that because that's a very important statement that you just made.
Well, Helen Gurley Brown definitely knew how to write to the mass audiences, and you wrote Sex and the Single Girl, and I'm sure people will remember this, in 1962, about how a single girl goes about having an affair. Now, Helen, that had to ruffle some feathers. Why did you write that book?
Let me see. I guess I wanted to write something and get it published, and I had enough thoughts to get the attention of a couple of publishers. So I wrote it in order to get something published.
And the subject matter about how a single girl goes about having an affair, why that subject matter? Was it just to get it published, or was it something you truly believed?
Oh, I believed it. I didn't write anything just for publication. I wrote it because it was a serious belief in my life, and I thought other people might be interested in reading such a thing.
And certainly they were, because this book has gone on and on and on since 1962. And
it's gone on for a while.
Absolutely. Why do you think it has sustained so well since 62?
Because sexuality is an important part of one's makeup, and for a long, long time, women weren't thought to be sexual. It wasn't something on our agenda, not something in our makeup. So after women started thinking about their sexuality, it just doesn't surprise me that it went on getting more important in their lives. They thought about it more.
Well, this is the big thing that happened in your... I think it's the big thing, Helen. In 1965, you became editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine. How did that happen?
Well, it seems rather casual now, but I needed a job. I needed something to do. I needed money. And I went to many companies and went to their personnel department and asked for an interview, but that's what I did at Hearst. And I didn't know I could be a magazine editor, but I thought I might write for one. And went to the Hearst Corporation and saw their personnel department and got myself hired as a secretary.
And how did you end up as editor?
Well, their editor wasn't there anymore, had left or was leaving, and they needed somebody to fill that job, and they talked to me. I think it may even have been their idea, not my idea.
Helen, why do you think it was that the idea that women can have love, sex, and money was met with such opposition?
As you make that statement, it seems a little absurd that people wouldn't go along with the idea. Love, sex, and money. Sounds pretty attractive. But I guess it was just a matter of timing. It was okay to talk about women's sexuality. That hadn't been discussed much before, but now it could be.
So back then, it was definitely met with opposition because people didn't discuss it as much.
I guess that's true. It was met with opposition. Women were not supposed to be sexual. We were just supposed to have children and to take care of houses and take care of other people.
Now, Helen, you had a great long run with Cosmopolitan, still there, but you had a great long run as editor-in-chief. But in '97, you were ousted as the U.S. editor of Cosmo. Why did that happen?
To let me be the editor altogether was a little unusual because I didn't have any experience, and they had to take a chance on my being good enough to hold such a job. I was getting on with some other things.
Just time for a new change of pace.
So this is a change of pace, and a change of jobs, and I had so many secretarial jobs, I can't remember all of them, but each one of them taught me something new and something different, and it was the right thing to do, to go to this new place, this new company, and get on with my work. And I think that's true from most people. You should have lots of different jobs in your life and find out which is the right one, which one should you go further with and work hard at.
Now, Helen, in September of 2008, you were named the 13th most powerful American over the age of 80. Why do you think you maintain your power position well over the age of 80?
Well, because I've been working since I was 16 years old, and that's what I did in life. And to go on doing that and to have it bring in certain results seemed like the right thing to do.
Helen, why does somebody past the conventional retirement age, why do you still go to work every day? You keep a pretty busy schedule.
Yes, that's true. I go to work every day. I have a nice office to go to. It looks out over New York City, but also the Hudson River and New Jersey, and I do that because I have found for a long time that having a job to do, having some kind of work, makes life more interesting, so I just keep doing it.
Would you ever consider retirement?
Well, probably I'll have to. My health will collapse, and I won't be able to come here and work as hard as I do every day. I don't know when that might be, but would I consider it? I think I'll consider it because I have to, because I don't have a choice.
Well, hopefully that day doesn't come, because I think Cosmo International needs you.
Well, You're my friend. I like to think that they do because I can look at all their magazines, and I do. I can't read their language, but I can tell what the subject of the article is and whether they have enough of one kind or too many of one kind and not enough of the others. And the reason to do that is to make the magazine sell every month.
Now, Helen, what's your typical day like? What time do you go to work? What time do you get off?
I get to work every day about 10:15 in the morning, and I go home at 6 o'clock at night, and I frequently have lunch at my desk, so I'm in my office all day, and I just go on doing that because it works.
And you enjoy it.
And I enjoy it.
Now, Helen, one thing I did want to talk about, I don't want to talk too much about this because I'm sure it's very tough, but earlier this year, for people who don't know, you had a long, long marriage to David Brown, who was the producer of Jaws and Driving Miss Daisy, a lot of great films, and he passed away at the age of 93 earlier on this year. You'd been married to him since 1959.
Right.
How have you coped with losing David?
I haven't coped too well, as a matter of fact, because we were so together, and every day of my working life, we would go home together and sit in the den, and he would watch television and think and do whatever he did, and I would usually work, and we were so close. Oh, and somebody would bring us dinner. I didn't cook it. Somebody who works for me did the cooking, and we were so close. I just almost can't stand it that he's gone.
How have you dealt with it?
Well, I come to work every day. My job at the Hearst Company. I'm not the editor of Cosmo now, but I come to work every day, and I look over the international editions of Cosmo. There are, how many are there? 60 all over the world, I think, and I can't read their language. I can't even read French, but I can tell by looking at the pictures and the pages and the headlines what the article is about, and I do a critique and send it out to them.
So staying busy helps with the passing of David.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Helen, you blazed a trail for women, certainly. I think you blazed a trail in the magazine world, without a doubt. Years from now, because you got a lot of steam left in you, you're still working, it's great. But years from now, what's the epitaph going to read? How are people going to remember Helen Gurley Brown?
Oh, probably as, if they remember me at all, it will be as the editor of this magazine, Cosmopolitan, and as a writer of books, because I've written quite a few of them.
Do you have a favorite that you've written?
I guess the first is because I never knew I could write a book, and I was already in my 40s, and it was Sex and the Single Girl. I guess that's my favorite book.
Helen, I thank you so much for joining me today. You're a treasure. There's no other way to put it. You're a treasure in the United States. What you've done for women and magazines and just society is evidenced by your great books. Sex and the Single Girl is still out there today. Cosmo is a strong magazine. Almost owes it all to Helen Gurley Brown, and it's just a joy to talk with you. I've always wanted to have you on the program.
May I say that you're a very flattering person to talk to, because you say all these good things. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Helen, I want you to come back on with me in the future.
Well, I'd love to do that. So when you figure out that it's time for us to do that again, I wish you'd call me.
And we'll make it a date for another time.
I'd love that.
Thank you so much. This has been Scott Spears with the beautiful, talented, smart business lady, Helen Gurley Brown, WMRN 14.